So hey everyone, welcome back to Rebecca's Colouring Arts and Crafts. So today I'm going to start another new piece from Millie Marotta's Curious Creatures, I think it is. And I've been requested to look into doing, I think it's like a mallard or a duck here with our colours. And I've decided I'm just trying to make sure the paper's completely in there for the back so that it doesn't rub the colour off. But I've decided I'm going to actually work on this one with my, Derwent Inktense pencils, because I've been doing a lot of these new pieces with Prismacolor or Polychromos, and so I decided to add another one with Derwent Inktense. And so I've obviously chosen some colours here. I've been doing some little testers in my visual art diary, which is obviously where I keep all my colours written down, but I've been doing little colour tests here, and I've worked out the rough colours that I want to go with for this mallard. Well, I think it's a mallard, I'm assuming it is, but yeah, I was requested to do this, and I know it's a lot of new pieces in amongst the pieces that I'm already still working on, but I'm still going to be completing those. It's just I've had a few requests for, will you be going back to doing this book and that book, and I was going to leave it till after I'd finished or wrapped up some pieces, and then I was thinking about it and thinking, well, I may as well just do them, because as the other pieces wrap up, those pieces will still be going, then I could add in new pieces, but also it does provide more variation or allow people to follow along with those like they wanted. So I guess that's what I'm saying. I'm not really sure that I'm making much sense, but yeah, pretty much I just thought, well, it's not going to hurt adding in some new pieces anyway on top of the others. I know it's a lot of pieces that I've got rotating between, but it's kind of what I like doing. I don't like folks just sitting with the one piece till it's done. I like to rotate between pieces. So yeah, anyway, bear with me. We'll definitely get there, shall we say. But yeah, so I really hope you'll enjoy this anyway, and enjoy this colour along, and all the other colour alongs I've been working on, as well as working on other pieces. I've just realised a lot of the pieces I have been working on will be towards the end of these new pieces. Doesn't mean they're not going to be done, but I just realised that I kind of left those a bit because I was thinking about them. But yeah, anyway, they will happen anyway. So, and part of that was because I was having to work on some bits off camera and was trying to work out what I was doing and blah blah blah. But yeah, anyway, so I'm going to come in with my Derwent Inktense, and I'm going to bring in my dark chocolate first. And this is obviously watercolour sort of pencils, and I think I'm going to do the light source coming from this way down, so up this way coming down onto the bird, just because of the way a duck or a mallard, I think it is. And I want to bring in my dark chocolate as our deepest colour, trying not to take up all the areas, because obviously I'm going to be adding in more colours. I'm going to aim to leave a little bit of a light shading area for our blending of our next colour. And I just want to bring it up into this point a little bit, because I kind of want to still have those patterns there as well. And I want to bring it over a bit that way too, just to bring it in. I'm not going to bring in so much of this really dark colour, because I just want to make sure for certain that I've actually got the other colours, enough space for the other colours. Plus it is just, well, it is a shadow colour, obviously, but yeah. I just want to make sure that I can work this in how I like it and that sort of thing. But yeah, I hope you'll enjoy these new pieces as well as the old pieces as I continue them too. It's just, I guess, I wanted to I just was thinking about it and I just thought, well, it makes sense to add in a few other pieces since people were requesting them or wanting to see them, and so I just decided, well, I might as well do that rather than not do it. And yeah, so I know now that there's a lot of pieces going on this channel, as well as my own pieces and the hand colouring stuff, which I'm going to be working on getting back to and all of that, but we'll get there. We will definitely get there. And I was thinking of having that, yeah, I am going to have that with the brownie colour, but I just want to sharpen my pencil first to make sure that I have a fine point for doing those. But yeah, I'm also a bit slower at the moment too, just because of my wrist and hand, and it's not seeming to improve a lot at the moment, but I keep trying to do the best I can. And yeah, I really hope you will enjoy all the new pieces, as well as the fact that I am trying to, well, I am keeping on going with the older pieces too, but the fact that I did do some of those, have to do parts off camera with some of those, yeah, that is part of the reason why I haven't brought them in yet. Well, I haven't really edited any of these things yet, but I'm going to keep working on it anyway. So we're still using a dark brown here, and I'm just going to do our few dark brown areas first, and then I'll bring in our first little colour area. But I just want to, made it into a fine point because I want sort of quite, I still want to fit all the colours into this area where these head feathers are, but I'm not making them look exactly like feathers because I'm going with Millie Marotta's patterns, because I like going with the pattern sort of effect, but also just because they are sort of finer areas and to fit a lot more colours. I've sort of worked out over time that it is better to have a finer tip pencil to do those areas. It is. At least that's just my opinion anyway. But yeah, trying to do the best I can anyway. But yeah, you definitely won't be missing out on any of the pieces that I've already started, etc., just because, well, I am going to be keeping on going with those, pretty much. I will be, so don't worry about it, they will be continued for sure. Because I know people do ask about that because they do take me so long. And I think I've said that over the last few videos, just because I want to reassure you that I'm not going to be forgetting about them or anything. I do have my lists of videos and what I've still got to do, what I've recorded, what I've still got to edit, all of that. I do, but I've also noticed too that things seem to be taking me twice as long right now because of my injured hand. And as I said too, a lot of these are pre-recorded in advance as well. I hope you'll enjoy them all. That one I just did underneath rather than on top because it wasn't overlapping wasn't under the other areas. So like that one I did it there. That one maybe I should have done it underneath, but because it was kind of under another feather, that's why I did it that way. So, but yeah, just basically change it depending on where the sort of the shadows are, or where it's underlapping things and things like that. It'll still work out anyway. Won't look that odd. Afterwards, you just do the best you can and work it in with where the light sources go and all of that. Like this one, it's got it on all three sides, and same with this one. So it sort of changes depending on how they've been overlapped. And like this one's just the one side. And there goes Lil's barking again. But yeah, we will be combining these colours with water, so we want to leave space for our other colours, but so that we can make it look nicer with our shadows once we combine the water too. So that's why I'm still doing a little bit of my little light shading area, if I can, to allow for things to combine a little nicer when you add the water in. Some areas it's turning out are going to be a little darker than others just because they've got more spaces where there's overlaps too, it seems, which I didn't realise till I started this. And there's some areas where I kind of want those, where I'm creating shadows as well on those areas, which means that there isn't quite as much space for our lighter colours. I'm hoping I'll be able to get them all in, but we'll see how it goes as we do it, I guess. I'll make it work somehow. Have before, I can do it again. Even if there's not as many shadows in some areas as others, I'll still make it work and look good. I will. Now we're going to just do this little area down here as well. So just down under the eye area here, we're doing where it's the same little feather sort of pattern as above. But we're just changing the shadows slightly depending on, because of the layout of the feathers being slightly different. And this area is slightly smaller too with the feather layout. The feathers are slightly smaller in this spot too, I'm noticing. That's what I'm saying. So I'm doing these feathers slightly differently because our light source is coming from this angle down. I've decided I'm going to have the shadow on the bottom of those feathers rather than just wherever they overlap. I want to have them on the bottom kind of thing, like the light is reflecting a bit onto those areas, and you're still getting your shadows anyway because it's at the bottom of the feather where the light wouldn't be so likely to hit. That's why I'm doing it down there too. And I'm putting shadow lines right along that beak sort of area too. I'm just gonna shift my water. I'm gonna rotate this book a bit to make it a bit easier. And around this eye I'm going to have a bit of shadow too. It's not fitting in so much of the light shadow on this spot, like I'm trying to, but I'm not fitting it in quite as well just because of the smaller amount of space. So if you can't really get it in so well, don't worry about it because we still want those spaces for the other colours. We do. As you'll notice there, I just tried doing it and it took up a huge amount of that space with that little shadow bit. So I'm trying to do it, but I'm trying not to take up all the space as well, and sometimes it does take up a bit much space doing that light shadow, but I keep attempting to anyway, but it doesn't necessarily work out every time. And so I'm just going to pause there for a minute, then I'm going to come back with our next colour. And probably what I'll do is I'll probably colour these areas and then a little head area in here, and then because I've sort of worked out those colours, this area in here and then maybe this area, and I'll probably do some browns in this little area. Actually, I'm going to just add that in with the browns now. So a light source is coming from this way, but our feathers are overlapping here, so I'm going to come in with my dark brown there. I'm also going to come in with the dark brown in a stripe along here, and then try to have a little light shadow area, but trying to leave plenty of room for the two colours, at least with the browns, and we've got 4 colours with the greens. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to pause it there and I will be back shortly. So hey everyone, I'm back. So now we're going to come in with our next colour with these browns, and I've just realised my cleaner's probably going to be here soon, so I'll have to continue recording obviously after she goes. But yeah, I can continue working on what I need to work on off camera anyway. So I'm going to come in next with my Derwent Inktense Red Oxide, and I want to bring this in over our brown and up a bit into our head sort of area. So we kind of want to combine this colour into it. And then I also want to bring the red oxide down on that point as well. So where we've got our point at the top here, I want to bring that down and continue that with our next shadow. And I want to bring our red oxide in a bit more too. So I'm sort of bringing, I guess I've left a smaller shadow area of the dark chocolate, but I kind of wanted to bring more of the oxide red in, and then obviously we'll bring in our final colour after that. But I don't know what I was thinking exactly, but I just thought, well, I really like the oxide red colour, and I like the dark brown, but I don't want too much dark brown kind of thing. And so yeah, and also advanced warning, our final colour may look a bit odd, but it does lighten up and change once we get to putting the water on. That's what I'm thinking. So yeah, I'm bringing my red oxide in on all these shadow areas and over, trying to make sure for certain that I leave space where I need to leave space, and I want to sharpen it a bit for these smaller areas, and I might have sharpened it a little much, I don't know. Hopefully it won't break like the prisoner colours seem to do when you accidentally slightly over sharpen them. 1 minute they're okay, next minute snap. We want to bring that in around all these shadows, making sure that we leave a bit of space for our final colour when we get to it. And also blowing, I just blew it off then because I didn't actually have the cloth here available. But I'm noticing that it is leaving a bit of like pencil shavings at the moment because it's not being wet yet, and we don't want it smudging all over the white areas of the paper if we can avoid it. That area might have filled in a little too much. Trying to leave some white areas as much as I can for our final colours. I am, but some of the areas, because I got so much in the shadows, areas with the overlapping feathers, there's not going to be as much space, unfortunately. But we work with what we've got. We do. And obviously these areas are going to get slightly quicker each time as we've got less space for the colours. So it's going to make it slightly quicker. But yeah, still definitely trying to leave space for our final colour here. And I'm probably lucky I only chose 3 colours in the browns here to make up my colour combo, because they wouldn't have fitted the 4th. It wouldn't have. And if you can hear noises now, it's because I opened the front door, because I need to hear when the cleaner turns up, and so I sort of need it open, but unfortunately that lets all the school traffic and stuff in, noises in. So hopefully you won't be able to hear it too much unless a hoon or something goes past. Yeah, I probably won't do the eye or the beak, but I'm going to try and get parts of the head done in this part if I can. I'm not sure how much I'll get done in this part, but see. Inktense can take a while longer. I was just filling in some of these little areas around the bottom area here that are very teeny little spots, but they don't always fill in the I'm noticing they don't always fill in the best, even with a sharp pencil, because they sort of go over areas again, just because that's what things do at times with those tiny areas, I guess you could say. Trying not to rub my hand over the other colours, I don't want to smudge them all over the place. I went over areas I didn't want to go over. What's done is done. Sorry, it's just because with my wrist and that I'm finding it hard to, I guess I'm getting annoyed at times with myself because I'm finding it harder at the moment with my wrist and hand to get the effects or things that I would normally get, because my hand cramps and all of a sudden sends me over somewhere that I didn't want it over, or it's just all of a sudden I get in a heap of pain and then things don't go how I want it to, or it's taking me twice as long to do what I would normally do with no issues, and yeah, it's kind of frustrating, shall we say. But yeah, I would say with the Derwent Inktense though, don't go by the colour on the end of the tip. Like sometimes I do and then realise that it's not actually that colour. They do actually have a bit of a difference between the colour of the tip and what the colour comes out as. And this stupid wrist and hand. Keep pushing through. But yeah, they do come out different colours from how they show on the tip of the pencil there. They come out quite a bit different sometimes not quite as different. Sometimes the pencil lead looks completely different, but I would say do tests and do it like that. I don't always do it that way, but I have noticed that they can come out differently to how you might think they are from the colour on the tip of the pencil. In this area I'm not going to worry because they're so small. I'm not going to worry about doing my blended area this time because it's such a teeny space and I'm not going to have a lot of room for that. And if I want my next colour to show out, because I'm losing a lot of white space currently and I want that colour to show out, so I need to make sure that I leave that white space rather than doing a light blending area. I need to leave that white colour space for our final colour, but it's not going to affect it too much anyway because we'll be blending them in with water as we go anyway. we will. Trying not to go over other lines if we can avoid it. But that's a lot harder for me at the moment with the way my wrist is, which annoys me a lot. It really does. But I just keep trying to push through and do it anyway. I do. Otherwise I'm not going to achieve it at all. Now I want to come in with my final colour, which is a Derwent Inktense Tan, and this is the colour I was warning you about. It does look a lot different when it goes down on the paper, but it does come out a lot lighter when I did my tests. And I don't always test things, but this time I did, and I'm glad I did, because otherwise I wouldn't have used this one, because it looks very olive green compared to what the colour on the end is, and it does actually lighten up a lot once you add the water to it. So and I'm doing that over all our other colours. Yeah. And so it'll look very dark at the moment, but it will lighten up once we add the water. Ah, and I didn't want to go over that area. Bugger! Damn it, stupid hand. It's done, I guess I'll just have to work it in. I guess I will. I'll just have to work it in as it is. Guess my hand and wrist is just frustrating me, that's all. But yeah, as I said, just gotta keep pushing through, even if I do hurt. And I'm just gonna sharpen it a bit, even though it's not very blunt, but it's not very sharp either, and I need a bit of sharpness for getting in these smaller areas without doing the same thing I just did before. So we just want to add this over all our other colours. We do. And then I might bring in the water on this area just to show you what I mean by that it does end up looking a lot lighter once you add the water in, because right now you can't really tell there's a light source there hugely here. It's so dark with things. Yeah. Should be able to see it a lot more though once you add the water. Okay, so I'm just going to pause momentarily and then I'm going to come back and I'll show you the water and then we'll continue with our next colour. So I will be back in a minute. So hey everyone, I'm back. So I'm actually going to get my finer brush for some of these areas, and actually I probably want my thicker brush for some areas, my finer brush for others. So I'll just tell you when I switch. So I'm going to start with my Microdor number 2 paintbrush, and I'm not using a water brush. I don't use water brushes. I find that for me a paintbrush is a lot more controllable and the method I like to use. And what I want to do is I want to start where we put our tan down, and as you'll notice it's lightening up a lot. And we want to work along that tan and then into our red oxide and then into our dark brown, and we want to try and get as neat a looking blend as we can, which I didn't get it very well then. So I'm going to just very lightly blend it back in properly because I didn't get the quite as much as I wanted. But just trying to do your best with getting that blend in, but sometimes if your brushes are not quite damp enough you won't get quite as much of that colour blend, and it might look a bit splotchy, and then you might just want to go in with a very light, another coating of light water just to make it blend in a bit even better than it was, kind of thing. That's how I like to do it anyway. And so hopefully you'll notice that you're starting to be able to see a bit of that little light source area now as you add this colour, as you add the water on. I'm hoping you'll be able to see that. And I just want to blend that in a bit better because I didn't do it that well. I probably didn't have quite enough water, but I don't want to put too much water on anyway because I don't want to have it bleed through the back page or the back image. So I'm trying to sort of limit the amount of water I put on to try and prevent any bleed through happening at all. I do. So I'm trying to prevent that from happening. And it's kind of a bit dark and awkward, so I'm trying to sort of just gradually ease it down so that I can tell where our sort of pattern areas mix into the next area, kind of thing. So I'm not going over too much with the others either. But yeah, also trying to avoid any bleed through of areas as well, and to the back image as well. So I'm hoping you can see now what I mean with the tan anyway, and the fact that it is a lot lighter once you add the water to it. And I like to just do a quick check each time after I do little areas, just to make sure there's no bleed through. And if you can see on there, there's no bleed through. So we're going well so far, but it can take a bit of practice to work out the correct, I guess, dampness or depth of water or whatever that you might want on there, to make sure that it doesn't bleed through, but that you get your colours blended as you like them anyway. Now these bits are going to be probably a little trickier with these teeny areas, just because we've got 3 colours. We want to make the colours look like they're blended together, but we want to make sure that we've still got our little light source areas showing. So we want to start where our tan colour, where we can see the tan colour, like it's kind of dark, but I can kind of see my tan colours here. Then we want to work down and into those areas. We don't want to go back over the tan area at all, because we don't want to lose that little light source area. And we want to make sure our brush is just not too wet, but not too dry either. And we want to make sure that we get all those areas, even the little areas that we just filled in with sort of darker tones as well. So it can be quite tricky with this, because it is a lot of brown and dark, and I've discovered that when you have a lot of brown and dark, it can be kind of difficult to tell where your patterns end or begin and all of that. So just go slowly, and yeah, there may be a few mistakes, but at least if you go slowly, you're going to limit the amount of mistakes that may possibly happen with it, which is what we want. And if you really want to, you can sort of just bring in a little light area of more water, just to bring out a little more of that tan area if you really want to. And I hope this is kind of making sense for you as to how I go about it anyway. I know I've done a few other tutorial bits, but I don't think I've done something in such fine spaces with such dark colours before in a tutorial, so I guess it's something a bit different. But I kind of thought some browns and stuff wouldn't go against harm to use with this. I think it is a Mallard, but yeah. And if you need to, or if I need to, I'll obviously switch the size of my brush, but I'm already using a fairly fine point brush, so. But I do have even finer if I really need it, but yeah. So I hope you can kind of see how that has changed a bit, because I'm fully zoomed in, so I can't really zoom in anymore on it. But I hope you're sort of able to see what I mean with it anyway, and how the colours sort of change quite a bit once you add the water to them. And I think I had a bit too much water on that one. Hopefully it won't bleed. Doesn't look like it has, but yeah, just something to watch out for, trying not to put over the amount of water on it. But yeah, I just find for me a paintbrush allows me to have a lot more control over the amount of water that does come out or get used, etc. And I much prefer that. And trying not to accidentally wash any of the colour over your tan in these other areas either that you've already done as well. And I'm just going to pause for a minute and I will be back. So hey everyone, I'm back. Yeah, I had to pause briefly because I have a cleaner coming to help me because I can't easily do things with my ankles and wrists and that. So I'm back now. So I'm going to keep going here with my water with my Inktense pencils and get that right in there. And we want to keep going here with from our tan or our lightest colour through to our darkest colours with our water and get them working in together to create our shadows and textures on the feathers kind of thing. So I'm hoping I haven't missed areas here, because I did stop part way through, which can kind of confuse me. But yeah, we do the best we can. We do. So I hope you can see the fact that the tan colour is lightening up as we add the water. So the colours are actually adjusting and changing and getting more vibrant, but also getting a little more accurate, but not as accurate as the colours on the back of the pencil say. So I still recommend that you do testers before you use them, but I sometimes forget to, and then I don't always get the exact colour I want, but you work with it. You work with it. And there goes Lil's barking again. Typical. I just gave her her dinner and then thought, I'll come back in and keep going with the recording whilst this happens. So what does she do? She barks. Miss Barky Barks. I'm just going over areas that I sort of look like I might have missed as I'm going. Also just trying to make sure that I've gotten everywhere as best I can, because I don't want to miss spots, or if I can avoid it. Oops. Gonna. That was not what I intended to do. Yeah, it's bled. See, that's what I mean by bleeding. I don't know if you can see that, but I accidentally dropped a puddle of water on there, and as a result the pencil colours have bled through. The Inktense colours have bled, and I was not trying to achieve that at all. I was trying to avoid that. So yeah. Oh, there's another drop there. I'm probably lucky I didn't get another one on there sometime. Probably am very lucky. But yeah, that's what to look out for and what not to do with the amount of water, I guess. Because you don't want that bleed through, because you can see it there clearly that it's bled through a bit. So that's what I'm trying to avoid, and that's why I use a paintbrush, because I find I can control that a lot more and prevent that from happening a lot more. Lils! I do. But I guess now you know what it looks like to see the Inktense pencils bleed through, because yes, they can bleed through if you use too much water on them. Quite easy to have happen, which is why I'm so cautious with the amount of levels and the amount of water I have on the brush, and why I try to wipe it off on the back of my hand and all sorts of things before I put the water on, to try and avoid things bleeding through. It is. I might have had, I hope I didn't have too much water there either. Yeah, I might have had a little much there, I'm not sure. I'm just going to... There is one spot that it's bled through just ever so slightly where I've done this water levels. And it was probably another spot that I thought I put a little too much water on. So yeah, just something to watch out for and try and avoid, I guess you could say. Because we don't want it to bleed through if we can avoid it. Because then you have to try and cover that over with your back image with whatever you're doing there, so it does make it a little harder. It is doable, but I like to try and prevent it from happening in the first place if I can. But accidents happen. And then you just have to work around it and fix it up and all of that sort of stuff. You do. A minute there I was a little confused as to which bits I'd done and which I hadn't done. checking there's no more bleed through. So you might want to do that regularly as you go too, just check that you're not getting any bleed through or putting on too heavy layers, because sometimes checking before you do too much or as you go can sort of stop you from accidentally doing a whole heap and then having to correct a whole heap. Sometimes a little spot is easier to fix up when you do the next image than to try and fix a whole huge area. And I'm just gonna have to stop a minute and sort out Lils because she's barking at the next door neighbours and she won't shut up till she gets inside and can't see them anymore because she doesn't like them. So I'll be back in a minute. So I'm back, everyone. Got Lils in now. Frustrating. But yeah, so I hope this helps you anyway with it. But yeah, as I was saying, I find better to regularly check to make sure you're not creating any accidental bleed through on your image than to just check every odd now and then find you have a huge patch of bleed through on your image and that you then have to try and fix up when you want to do the image behind it and stuff like that. I find better to just try and problem solve it rather than keeping on doing stuff as you go. And I'm not sure if I missed these areas. It sort of looks like I did, but I can't tell. But better to regularly check and try and make sure that you're avoiding bleed through than to keep going and then find you have a whole huge patch to correct or fix up because of bleed through and things. It just makes it easier to work with it as you go, I guess you could say. Because then even if you do make a small mistake, it's easier to cover up when you do the image behind it than not, or than it would be if it was a huge space that you have to fix up. And I almost dripped it on things again. One thing that you don't want to do. And I don't know how many times I've done that today, but thanks to this wrist and hand. Normally I don't drip any water on the image at all. I'm normally quite good at avoiding that. So I guess you're seeing me when I'm not able to do things quite as good as I usually would. Which is hugely the case at the moment. With my wrists and hand, and I get quite annoyed about it, as I said. So that's what you'll see me doing. If you see the page flip up, it's just me checking to make sure that I'm not getting any bleed through on the back of the image, to try and make sure that I am doing the right water amount, which is easier, in my opinion, to control using just a normal paintbrush than I'm not using by using a water brush. For me, a water brush is a lot more uncontrollable with shall we say, achieving the desired effect you want and not getting the bleed through as well. I almost had another drip go, which I don't want. Too much water, I think. Crud. Yep, too much water on that one. It bled through. Bugger. I thought I had. So bear with me while I'm not quite as good at this as I usually am, because I'm finding it very frustrating. I hope that was focused whilst I was doing that last little bit on that bit. But yeah, bear with me whilst I'm not quite as good at this as I could be. I wish that I was able to do it better right now, but my hand just doesn't seem to be working with it, and I keep either dripping water or creating too much water on the pen, or I just am struggling to, wipe it off and all of that sort of stuff, and it's just so frustrating and annoying right now. Not really much that I can do about it either. Yeah, I've been told that pretty much I have to wait now till I see the orthopedic surgeon to try and get an MRI and find out what is going on with my wrist and as to what needs to be done about it to get it better, because the braces aren't doing much at the moment and all of that. So fun times ahead. And nearly every moment of doing my art is causing me uncomfort or pain or whatever, but I just keep trying to push through because I really love doing it, and also I really want to get some videos recorded and then hopefully edited and uploaded and working in case if anything happens, and I've got videos ahead in advance just in case and all of that. I do. So yeah, I do my best anyway. And like that, where my hand just all of a sudden decides to do some random spazzy thing where it goes way out of the lines. Or not way out of the lines, but where I wasn't even aiming. I was hoping for some reason that it would be easier with the water brush and doing this, but it's not, unfortunately. It's just as hard. There it is. Thankfully I didn't make it bleed again. I thought I had. Yeah. I'm just going to go in those little spots. Probably not going to be able to wash them off, but if I can lighten them out and they dry at least, then hopefully I'll be able to colour over them without them affecting the other colours. Hopefully. Had too much water even though I brushed it off. I might have gotten lucky and it might not have bled through that time. Didn't bleed through, fortunately. But yeah. Guess I can only do the best I can currently. Even if I'm kind of frustrated with what my best is currently. Just keep checking that I'm not bleeding through, because normally I'm pretty good at it, but at the moment I'm really misjudging things a bit. And there's that brown area of the duck done. I'm going to go and have more of a look at those areas off camera now, and then I think I'll come back and try and work on some of these greeny blue areas. And yeah, so I will see you back in a bit. So hey everyone, I'm back. So you may notice here that I did a bit of a tester of my greeny blues here. I guess wanted to just see how they went, although I couldn't really change it once I'd done it on the image anyway, but yeah. So because our light source is coming from this way down, I want to bring it along these shadows, but it's also why I've started doing it this way too, is because I have a clear idea of the colours, but it's also a good guideline for sort of working out where I'm going to have my light sources coming from and the way I'm going to do the shadows and all of that. So that's partly why I also do it this way. So we kind of want to just, I'm not worrying too much about a light source area for these first couple of colours that I'm going to be putting in here, but I am going to obviously need them later kind of thing, or needs, I can't think how to explain it. Basically, I'm going to need the light source with the final colour just to do with blending in our final couple of greens because of space and blah blah blah. But yeah, we'll make it work. And this also blends in these black lines as well that I also want filled in, but to still be able to see the patterns at the same time. We do. So our light source is more coming from this way, so, but then if it's coming this way it would still go down those lines how they are, so I'm not really going to make much adjustments with the shadows in these little areas. just because I kind of like the patterns as they are and the shapes as they are right now. I do. Next I want to come in, I didn't actually tell you what my colour was there either. It's Derwent Inktense Sea Blue. I didn't even realise that I didn't tell you that. I'm so sorry, my brain's just, yeah, really all over the place. So my next colour that I want to come in with is Iris Blue. And obviously I will add a description when I start with the Sea Blue. I'll add that in a comment thing, but right now I really wasn't thinking of it and I'm so sorry. So now I want to come with my Iris Blue and I want to bring that over as Sea Blue, but leaving space because we've still got 2 more colours to go in yet. And we want to bring that in on top of our Sea Blue. Is it? Yeah, it is Sea Blue. Give it a not working brain. And I didn't realise I did a little bit of that off camera. Whoops. And then next, what I want to do is I want to come in with my Vivid Green. And this is obviously still Inktense. And I want to bring that over all those blues plus up a bit. But with this one, because it's just before I find a colour, I do want to do my little bit of light shading so that it will blend in better with our final lightest colour. I do. even if it looks a bit stripy at the moment, it doesn't matter too much because it'll blend in as when we add our water, or blend in more when we add our water, and it won't look so obvious. Whoops, and that one went a little much over. My hand jerked again. Whoops, that one went a bit too far over too. Oh well, I guess I shouldn't really get annoyed. I can only do the best I can do when my hand's hurting like anything. Let's check, do I have time to do a final green? Yep, we do. So I want to come in with my final green, which is an apple green from the Derwent Inktense, and I want to bring that over all those other colours. I do, and we'll wipe off the little excess bits of pencil as we go too, so that it doesn't smudge anywhere before we do our water. And now what we want to do is, yep, we've got some time. We want to come in with our water and our Microdon number 2 paintbrush again, and just damp brush again as I usually do. And we want to come in, we want to start from our lightest green and just blend it through with the water through to where our shadow ends, and we'll just want to create our little sections like this. We do. So from our lightest area through to our darkest area, and just creating our sections and our shadows in those sections. So basically what we're trying to replicate a bit is, you know, the reflections a bird's feathers can sometimes get in different lights. So I'm trying to sort of replicate that a bit. I am. Just double checking every now and then to make sure you're not getting bleed through, particularly when you think you might have gone a little heavy-handed on one of the bits of water. But I find it's also, yeah, at the moment I have to check a lot more often than I normally would because of the fact that I'm not able to control things as good as I would normally because of my hurt hand. So, yeah. So I think I'm going to leave it there for this part, just because we're sort of getting to our time limit. I really hope you've enjoyed this part. If you have, please leave a like, subscribe or comment. I always love hearing from you. I hope you've enjoyed it and you can follow along with it. Yeah, I did the best I could anyway for having my bung hand anyway. So yeah, sorry, I just kind of keep getting annoyed because I want to do so much more of my art and really nail those details like I'd usually do, and I've been really, shall we say, struggling with that because of it. So I've kind of been getting a bit frustrated about it, even though I'm so proud that I do manage to achieve what I do get done. So yeah, but I really hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please leave a like, subscribe, comment. I always love hearing from you, and I will see you next time. Bye.